Hello everyone and welcome back to another build on Critical Builds. So today we're going to probably be doing my favorite character before, like for a long-term campaign ending before 17 or even at 17. But the problem with 17 is 17, 18, 19, 20. If you don't have 9th level spells, you're inferior. I mean, you'll still, like this build will still be very powerful at 17, 18, 19, 20, but it really peaks in those 12 to 17 level. This build is so good, and this is probably my favorite build that I've done on this channel. I know it's taken a while to get to it, but yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it. Of course, this build is going to have a way of consistent advantage, so we are going to be doing an elf. Of course, I'm always going to recommend the Shadar-kai Elf. That's just because it's the best elf in the game. All right, stat allocation. So, of course, we're going to need a 15 charisma, getting it to 17. We're going to want that 16 con to get as much HP as possible. We're going to need that 13 strength so we can multi-class out of Paladin. And then I recommend 10 dex, 10 wisdom, 8 int. For our background, we're going to be doing the Shillelagh Guidance Absorb Elements through custom background with Druid Initiate. If you ever watched the first video on the channel, the first 7 levels are going to be exactly the same from that Vengeance Paladin video. Even though this is called the Oathbreaker Paladin, I want to reiterate and start off that this is a Oathbreaker Paladin for the long term. You could go immediately into Oathbreaker, but to be honest, unless you're in an undead heavy campaign, it's pretty useless until Paladin level 7. But however, if you're in a campaign that's focused on undead, this subclass at level 3, don't skip Vengeance, you're going to be able to control so many undead and have them for 24 hours. And with the buff to channel divinities, you'll be able to control probably relatively two undead, I would say, and a lot of them will fail your wisdom save, especially at like levels 3 and 4. And what's great is when I was looking at, I'm actually playing this current character in a long-term campaign. We're currently at level 12 with 2024 rules, and I was looking at potential undead that I could hunt, but it really caps out, undead really cap out around 4 and 5, and then it skips immediately to 10, then it skips immediately like 12, 13, 14. Like, it's kind of crazy that from like 5 to 10 there's really no undead, at least in the new monster manual that I was looking at. So what's really cool is if you're in a campaign that's going to have a lot of undead, you can probably snag yourself a good CR3 or CR4 minion, and that's probably going to be good. But let's get into this current build. So yeah, we're going to be taking Shillelagh because we are going to be dual wielding, because that is the best way to play Paladin now, especially once we get to that Oathbreaker level 7. We're going to be wanting as many attacks as possible. So we're going to need Shillelagh to imbue our club. I know I have two swords here in the art, but come on, it looks cooler than having a club and a scimitar. It's an imagination game. Imagine. So yeah, we're going to do that for our offhand. Level 1's going to be rough. It's going to be the worst level in this whole... Well, level 1 and level 5 are going to be the worst levels in this journey, but after that, you're going to be golden. Because at level 1, we're not going to be able to hit with our main weapon with Charisma until we get to Warlock in level 2. So we're just going to be a level 1 Paladin with only 13 strength, so we're just going to be hitting with a +1 to hit. And hopefully, and if we hit that, then we're allowed to use our Shillelagh weapon due to Nick. Spells I'd recommend for first level. You only get 2 at this level, but Blast, Divine Smite, this will be auto prepared once we hit Paladin level 2. This Searing Smite got a fat buff. Thunder Smite's still pretty good. Protection from Evil good, especially if you're in that undead campaign. This is amazing to cast on yourself. It lasts like 10 minutes. If you know there's undead ahead of you, great. And Divine Favor, amazing spell now, because concentration free, just a free D4 on every single attack. Now we're immediately going to go into Warlock, and starting from now, both our weapons, we can attack with Charisma, which helps us out significantly. So all we got to do is just focus on the Charisma. We can be sad, single ability score dependent, and not have to worry about touching strength ever again. I know people are going to say, oh, what about plate armor? Oh, don't worry. If you want to wear plate armor, and you're going to want to, but realistically speaking, you wouldn't get that until character level 5, 6, or 7. Will be mounted. That's why, the art here will be mounted, so we don't have to worry about that movement at all. It's always going to be mounted. Cantrips, of course, you're going to take Eldritch Blast, best range cantrip in the game, and I would recommend either Booming Blade, or I'm going to recommend Blade Ward, because what's good about Blade Ward is it's also got a buff, and you can just spam cast it. It's concentration for a minute, so if you know combat's imminent, just spam cast that along with Shillelagh. And remember, Shillelagh, I didn't talk about this, but you need to spam cast Shillelagh out of combat when you know combat is imminent, so we don't have to waste our bonus action on round 1 casting Shillelagh. Okay. Spells, of course, Hex and Armor of Agathis. We're going to want Hex because once we lose our Vengeance subclass, we are then going to lose access to Hunter's Mark, and we're going to want a way to add D6 to every single one of our attacks. And Armor of Agathis is a great spell to have. Okay, now every single one of our attacks from level 2 is dealing force and radiant damage. Amazing. Okay, fighting style. So up in this point, you could not have added your ability score modifier to that Shillelagh attack, but now we can, because we pick 2-weapon fighting. We always have Divine Smite prepared, and we get 1 free casting of the first level only per day, and that's it. Pick more, you get access to prepare more spells. Level 4, the subclass, we're going Vengeance, just for now, because in my opinion, this is going to be way better until we hit character level 8. If DM does not allow you and says that, once you took that Warlock level, you broke your oath, or you go whatever, even though technically, this Warlock level could be a Celestial Patron. Okay, you don't have to you don't choose your subclass level 1 anymore, so you can say this is the Celestial Patron, so it doesn't have to be an Evil Patron. And we'll get to how you can break your oath. It's going to be due to the Warlock. You just change your master. It's pretty easy. Fighting, yeah. So subclass, we're going to be a Vengeance Paladin, and then twice per long rest now. We get 1 back on a short rest, so 3 times per long rest, depending if you take a short rest. You now have permanent advantage on all your attacks, which is amazing. But don't worry, we're going to get other ways to get advantage when we lose our Vengeance. Don't worry about that. Character level 5, Paladin 4. We are going to be taking Elven Accuracy, boosting our Charisma to 18, and now since with that permanent advantage, we're rolling 3 times every single time. Super, super powerful. All right, character level 6. We're going to get that extra attack and the Fine Steed spell. So now we're always going to be mounted, so no matter what armor you're wearing, even though you got that 13 strength, you'll be able to use your mounts for movement. And what's cool is it got buffed and nerfed. All healing is shared between you and your mount, but that's it. And the mounts can cast spells, a heal, Misty Step, or Frighten. We're going to be selecting that heal because you want to keep your mount alive as long as possible. And the healing is going to be able to do that. If you're worried about your mount dying because we do not have mounted combatant at this moment, I would recommend casting Warding Bond, which at this level you get prepare Warding Bombs. You get access to 2nd level spells on you and your steed, which will easily help keep your steed alive. And throughout the campaign, this is exactly what I did, by the way, in my current campaign that I'm playing in. I started making armor for my horse, and by the time I actually got the horse, I was able to put armor on it. So even though I think it starts off with a 14 or 15 AC, I was immediately able to get it up to a 17, I think, because I have splint armor in mine, but now I have plate. But when I first initially got it, I was able to immediately put splint armor on it. So make sure you utilize your downtime, because also remember, you're an elf. You only have to long rest for 4 hours, meaning you can spend 4 hours every single long rest making something and working towards some item. So keep that in mind. Talk with your DM. Okay, level 7. Paladin level 6, we get Aura of Protection, best thing in the game. At the moment, it's +5 to all saves. Eventually, it will be +5. Okay, Oathbreaker. Let's talk about this. Now we're going into Oathbreaker, which is we're going to break our oath, and I think how we do that is, and this patron that's been a celestial patron has been giving us our powers. Now we got a deal from a darker patron, and that promises us more power, and we end up breaking our oath to accept this patron's power and throw this celestial patron to the side. maybe you can do that, maybe you can't. But that's how I would roleplay it, or just, maybe something that happens in the story. I don't know. It shouldn't be too hard. I played Baldur's Gate. I'm not gonna spoil Baldur's Gate, but I let's just say I started off as a Vengeance Paladin, and I intentionally broke my oath. I was planning on doing Oathbreaker in the game anyways, but it just naturally happened. So it should be pretty easy to break your oath, even though Vengeance is the hardest one to break. I still found a way to break it, so it shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, Oathbreaker Paladin at character level 8. Why are we going Oathbreaker? Well, for Aura of Hate. Aura of Hate is amazing because now every single one of your attacks will do your charisma modifier twice, because you're hitting with charisma, and now you get an additional +4. However, rules as written, talk with your DM, technically every single undead and fiend within 10 feet of you also gets this, not just the friendly ones, because you gain access. If you kept going in the subclass, you'll gain access to like Animate Dead and stuff. So that's something to think about. But however, it's only to weapon damage. It says weapon damage specifically. So a lot of creatures in this game, especially a lot of demons and undead, don't even use weapons. So even though you're giving them that +4 or +5 eventually, I mean, higher level demons usually have a weapon or whatever, but at least in the lower level stuff, usually they're hitting with their unarmed claws or whatever, and that will not get the bonus damage. So keep that in mind. Okay. Now our channel divinity changes. This is what I was talking about. It's kind of useless. You're never going to, I think at this point, no, if you can frighten them, but it's a full action, so I'm never going to use this outside of combat. But I mean, never use it inside of combat, but outside of combat, maybe before you want to like show the fear in the people or something, it's good. And what's cool is if they are frightened, you'll have advantage on them. I think on maybe I'm not sure about that. I think they have disadvantage to hit you when they can't go towards you. I always get confused with the frightened condition. But the coolest thing about it is control undead. But again, you looking at the monster manual, you can only get up to your character level in undead, or lower than your character level. So at this point we're 8, so 7, but there's no CR7 undead. The best is 4. There's some 4 ones you can get, I guess. So yeah, maybe because the monster manual just came out, it's not fully online yet. But from my initial research, well, this is coming out. I'm recording this very far in advance, so at the time of recording this, the monster manual just came out like last week. So from what I found online, I didn't buy it. So from what I found online, there's not many CR4. There's not many creatures between 5 and 10 of undead, but maybe I'm wrong. So, oh well. But now our auto-prepared spells change. I really didn't go over too much because you can go check out the video for if you want a deep dive of characters level 1 through 7. I'll link it in the description. You can check out that video. I just wanted to give a general overview of where we're going. So now we have auto-prepared Hellish Rebuke, Inflict Wounds, Crown of Madness and Darkness. If we go back into Warlock, this is a great combo you can do. However, we'll be getting advantage with another way. It's mostly going to be with our 2nd level spells. So Paladins now get a 2nd level spell called Shining Smite. This is amazing because it's good for you and your whole party. Basically, as long as you can hit an enemy once, you can then apply Shining Smite to them, and for the next minute, no save, which I love about it because, like I always say, I hate saver sucks. I just like things that work. You'll have you and every single party member will have advantage on that target for a minute. So basically the whole combat, which is great, and gets us a way to get advantage on creatures that we'll normally not have advantage on. However, we're going to get into our consistent way of advantage for non-boss fights. Okay, so those are auto-prepared, and we can use Hellish Rebuke as a reaction, which is kind of cool because we don't have any reactions at the moment. So if you want to deal some fire damage to people, kind of fits on theme. But yeah, I feel like we need to. So there's a choice you can do here. This will be the last level of Paladin we take, but I feel like we need it, and either we're going to be getting maxing our charisma, which is going to be impacting our damage, increasing all of our attack damage and to hit and or for protection and our spell save DCs. Like, it's great, but however, I really feel like at this level we need to go mounted combatant. We are going to be on this steed for a while. Mounted combatant gives us like 3 things that we want. 1, it gives us an alternate way of advantage. We have advantage on all medium and small creatures, basically, going forward, and that's most of the creatures in the game, and those are going to be a lot of the creatures that we fight up until a boss fight. Most of the bosses are big enemies, are going to be large, but no, not tough. I don't know why the fuck I put tough here. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, or whatever. But mounted combatant is something we're going to need for this build so we can gain consistent advantage, but more importantly, it gives our steed a loose evasion. So the biggest flaw in this build, of course, is AoE damage, because it'll damage both our steed and us, especially if you're worried about your steed dying and you're putting on Aura and Warding Bond. This gives your steed a chance to just evade the damage or automatically take half on dex saves, which is going to be most of your AoE damage. So that's going to be helpful. And also, more importantly, any single attack that goes to the steed, you can now automatically redirect to you free action. So that's great. Helps you mitigate this will keep your steed alive forever. So I feel like at this level, even though it would be so nice to max out that aura, we're going to go mounted combatant. So now we got to talk about where to go from here. Okay. There's a bunch of options we're going to go over. This was kind of like the first video I did. It's the exact same reasoning in the first video. We're either going to be going Divine Soul Sorcerer, Valor Bard, or Warlock, or even staying Paladin. I'm going to recommend that we go Divine Soul Sorcerer. This is what I currently am doing in my build, and I think it is the best. It gives us, first off, we really only want to be going Divine Soul or Valor Bard, just so all of our spell slots that we got up to this point will scale, and lets us upcast our mount to be able to fly as early as possible. If we were to keep going Warlock, it would take us 6 more levels of Warlock to be able to get our fiend to fly, our steed to fly. When if we just took 3 levels of Sorcerer or Bard, we can immediately get 4th level slots, and then we have a flying speed pretty much, which is really good. So now we got to talk about the debate between Divine Soul Sorcerer and Valor Bard. If you only care about single target DPS at level 6 more levels it's going to take, Valor Bard will get you that because of the Blade Singer feature that it gets now, where you get to cast a spell, a cantrip as one of the attack actions, and then you take another level of Warlock and do Eldritch Blast, and then you get 3 attacks. You'll have a consistent 6 attacks every single round. Unfortunately, you'd be forced to either use Hex. No, you'd be forced to use Hex as your concentration, so you can gain advantage. I mean, you can gain the D6 damage to all of that, and you'd only be able to smite on 3 of your attacks, because we don't have our bonus action is going to be saved for crits on smites. But yeah, then there's Divine Soul Sorcerer, which I think is the best one here, because of the AoE damage that you can get from Spirit Guardians at Divine Sorcerer level 5, and yeah. So we're going to usually this is where I would say go Divine Soul Sorcerer. However, I've already done all those builds, and I'll link that in the description too. It's just basically just replace the subclass, and it's the exact same build. So I'm going to do something a little different here, and we're going to be focusing on single target DPS. So that actually means going 3 more levels into Paladin. I know that I just kind of contradicted myself there, because I kind of confused. I was thinking of my current build and the video, so I'm sorry about that. But we're going to do something different in this build and really focus on that single target, because right now we're adding our charisma mod to everything, and twice, and then if we go just to level 11 of Paladin, we'll then be able to add a D8, which is on average a 4 to every single one of our attacks, which I think is really good. So we're going to be going to at least level 11 in Paladin. So let's keep going. We get third level spells, and now we need to talk about Animate Dead. At this level, we're character level 10. I really, really wouldn't recommend making your undead army because of two reasons. One, it's a third level slot to make one zombie, maybe two. I forget how Animate Dead works. The only way I would even say to even consider this is if you have spell slots at the end of the day that are doing nothing, and you have corpses, and you have a bag of holding, and you want to make some zombies and throw them in a bag of holding, or undead, some skeletons, and not zombies. Zombies, forget it. Zombies are worse. Some skeletons and throw them in a bag of holding. Because the thing is, at least the skeletons can shoot from range. However, they need to be within 10 feet of you to get that bonus, and all AoE spells are pretty much gonna be able to hit within 10 feet of you. So any fireball, any whatever, which you can relatively get at level 10, be hit with at level 10, just say goodbye to all your minions and all your third level slots. I think it's a waste, and especially because this adds to damage, not to hit. These things have like what, +4 to hit, and unless you have Shining Smite, that's all I'm saying. Unless you have a bag of holding, and then you have a bunch of undead in the bag of holding, and then you tell them to come out of the bag of holding when there's Shining Smite on the boss, and then maybe they can get an attack off or two before they die to AoE, sure, but I really wouldn't do it. Bestow Curse sucks. It's auto-prepared, so whatever, with Animate Dead, so who cares. Best third level choices you can get a Paladin level 9. I've never gone to Paladin level 9 myself, but hey, my character campaign I'm going to is 15, so in my opinion, I'm just going straight Sorcerer, but I'm thinking this is like a long-term build, so we're gonna keep going Paladin for a couple more levels. We're gonna get the spell magic, elemental weapon, Spirit Shroud are gonna be your best weapons. We're gonna be replacing Hex with Spirit Shroud. The Spirit Shroud just does better. I mean, you can still use Hex if you want to save some third level slots. However, Spirit Shroud is just good because it blocks enemy healing and does a little bit of damage. And now Elemental Weapon is also great. Something we can add. It'll last an hour, just like Magic Weapon. It's not concentration anymore, I think. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it is concentration still, but I think they got buffed to be non-concentration 2024. Don't quote me on that. If it did, you're definitely going to want to use this before combat. It's just a free D4 on every single hit. You're adding to all that damage that we do on every single hit. Okay. That was a lot. We gained a new Channel Divinity option, which we already have through Oathbreaker, so who cares? But what's cool is this scales with 1d8 at 5th level when we eventually get 5th level slots for single target purposes. The reason we want to keep going Paladin is Aura of Courage. At this level 11, you might be starting to face dragons or some creatures that do AoE fears, and just being immune is kind of cool. So again, this is more for high level stuff like dragons, liches. Like eventually you'll get there. You probably face a dragon by now. Lich, I hope you haven't fought a lich yet. The new lich, oh my god. Maybe if you fought a 2014 lich, you might have lived at this level, but not a 2024 lich. I'm telling you, that thing is strong. But the main reason we kept going is for the single target purposes right here. Radiant Strikes. Now every single one of our attacks has an additional D8, which is crazy. So let's break down how much damage we're doing on per hit. We have our current just weapon damage. So Pact of the Blade is all radiant. Scimitar through Pact of the Blade is all radiant. Then that's going to be a D6 plus our charisma. So I have it at +5. I should be a +4 because I said take mounted, but whatever. This is if we didn't take mounted combatant or being a slave to the spreadsheet. So it would be +5, then +5 again, so our +10. Let's say +4, +14. And then we have our pivot option here, which could be a D4, which depending on how many rounds of combat I've passed, could be a D4 from Divine Favor, and then an additional D8 from Spirit Shroud, but it could also be a crit from Divine Smite, and then it could be Shining Smite that we apply here. That's why I'm not even bothering taking a bonus action feat that helps with the bonus action. But now we take Mounted Combatant or max our Charisma out, Paladin level 12. This will be our last level of Paladin that we take. And there's no Greater State anymore. Sorry about that. And this would be our last level of Paladin that we take. And we passively got, I think 13 is 4th level slots. So we did not passively get 4th level slots. You don't get that until later on. But now we are going to be going into Sorcerer. I know I said earlier that if we want single target, we would go into Valor Bard and then do the Agonizing Blast, but that's 8 levels. So that means we wouldn't get this D8 of damage. So I'm trying to do something different here than the builds I did at the beginning of the channel when I first started. So we're then going to be going into the rest of this build into Divine Soul Sorcerer. You might have wanted to take 1 level. It will be Divine Soul Sorcerer at level 3. But you may have wanted to take 1 level of Sorcerer just to get some, because we have no, other than Hellish Rebuke, we have no reactions. If you took 1 level of Sorcerer, maybe at level 8 or 9, you get access to Shield, Absorb Elements, Silvery Barbs, all the great reaction first level spells that would have helped your spell progression slots to go a little faster. That's probably a good option that you probably wanted to consider. However, tried something different for this build. So, yeah, we gain Meta Magic. We'll gain Cleric spells at level 3 of Cleric, and the coolest thing we gain is innate sorcery. This won't matter until we at least get something like an attack spell, like Scorching Ray at Sorcerer level 3. But yeah, we got to get our classic first level spells: Shield, Silvery Bars, Feather Fall, Absorb Elements, and then if you didn't take Blade Ward earlier, take that. True Strike. Well, it is good, but it's just like, it's not great because we have our stuff, but because we have our ways of already hitting with Charisma. But yeah, get rid of not great for this build. It got buffed, so it's much better now. We're gonna take Meta Magic. We're gonna want Quicken Spell 100% because now we can cast Spirit Shroud. Spirit Shroud's already a bonus action. Spirit Guardians, and I cannot spell. But we're going to be doing Spirit Guardians as a bonus action, but when we get it at level 5, Sorcerer 5, and then here is where you want to take either Transmuted or Subtle Spell. If you want to have a really, really good ranged attack option, take Transmuted Spell, and next level we're going to take Scorching Ray, and then you can transmute that into Thunder or whatever damage, just in case they're resistant to fire, which is like the most resisted type in the game. Now we get Divine Soul subclass. Now we gain access to all the Cleric spells, of our level 1 and 2. And then Favored by the Gods. I'm going to recommend Silence is one of the better Cleric spells. Scorching Ray, like I said, and then Suggestion's a great spell to just convince someone to do something that they don't want to do. But yeah, this Favored by the Gods will help you with your saves even more, even with that +5. Now, here's what we got to talk about. If you're going to level 20, you're going to hold down taking your feat. So then at character level 19, you can take an Emma Boon feat. You get additional spells. You can name your image. But yeah, the main reason we came here is for Spirit Guardians. So now we have an AoE option in addition to just single target. You could have reversed this order. You could have gone straight Sorcerer like I'm doing in my current campaign, and then go back to Paladin to get that additional single target, especially if your party is suffering with AoE damage like mine is. So that's why I'm trying to go into Divine Soul Sorcerer so I can run around the battlefield with Spirit Guardians. But yeah, and then that's pretty much it. Then at this we character level 18, I guess you just keep going Sorcerer. There's no point in. The only thing I would say is so we have a major thing we're concentrating on. We might not want to lose concentration. Instead of taking Sorcerer 6 here and Sorcerer 7, you might want to consider going back to Warlock, Warlock 2 to get Eldritch Mind Invocation, which gives you advantage on your concentration checks. Or at this level, instead of, if you're not going to level 19 or 20, maybe take Warcaster here to help you with your concentration checks. But yeah, then I just said, oh, you might as well. We're still in sorcerer. Just keep going 2 more levels. You'll get 4th level spells. So you can do like fire shield. Then you can set up a retaliation build, which is kind of cool. Fire shield, armor of Agathis, and then you can use transmuted spell to convert fire shield and or armor of Agathis to other damage types. Hold on 1 second. I have to cut. Sorry about that cut. I have a 30-minute limit. I did not know I was going that long. Wow. I really like this build. I was just yapping. But yeah, sorry about that. So we are so then we're pretty much done, but I say I would probably just go Warlock 2 here, and then maybe even Warlock 3 and pick up a subclass. Maybe Hexblade. I know it sounds basic, but they get the best feature at level 3. Fiend, Psionic really won't get you anything. A Psionic, great old one. Can't think of the other one they updated. They updated 4 subclasses, I think. 3. Or was it only 3? Oh, Celestial. No, Celestial's not worth it at level 3. Yeah, Hexblade. If you're gonna take 2 more Warlock levels here, go get your Eldritch Invocation, get your Eldritch Mind, and then pick up, I guess, Eldritch Blast, Agonizing Blast, maybe. I don't know. And then I would get Hexblade's Curse, so then you can so many bonus actions. Then you can put Hexblade's Curse on the target, so that every single one of your attacks deals an additional 6 damage, because your proficiency will be 6 at that point. So in addition to all that, what we were saying before, but yeah, that's the build. This is probably my favorite build. I love playing Paladin just because I really I prefer to play melee characters, and in my opinion, Paladins are just the best melee characters in the game. I know Barbarians could be good, especially that Barbarian Echo Knight build I did, but like hypothetically, if you kind of think about it, like for this build, for example, if I just threw 3 levels of Echo Knight into this build somewhere, the amount of single target DPS I can do is crazy. Like, let's just say we stopped here. Let's say here, right, when we got that additional D8. This is every single one of our attacks has a 2D8 plus 10. So 2D8 plus 1D6 plus 10 on every single hit, right? So let's just say, or here, I say level 12, 13, right? Let's just say I only care about a single target. Then all you got to do is, if you want to, so you can fly first, because I think flying is important. Take 1 level of sorcerer, get all these spells here, and then if you don't care about AOE damage and you just care about that 1 round of burst damage, just okay, that's it. Level 15, we're gonna go fighter 1, and take blind fighting, and fighting style, and then whatever weapon masteries. Then here we get action surge. Then here we get Echo Knight, and then boom. Now you could do this. You can do all these attacks. Just make sure you use Shining Smite your target, or if they're not if they're large or higher, Shining Smite on round 1. Hopefully you hit with your first attack. That's the thing. Yes, you got to hit with your first attack. Cast Shining Smite on them. Then you gain. Then you'll basically, I think you're doing 7 attacks or 6 more attacks, all at triple advantage with all these modifiers. And unfortunately, you can't do a crit Divine Smite on this because you use your bonus action for Shining Smite. So what you could do is, Shining Smite, set up that advantage, and then attack, and then your next round bonus action, you either use Hex, Spirit Shroud, or we use some other way to add an additional damage dice, or we save it because we know we're going to be hitting 7 times at triple advantage, and if it's a fiend, then we just save that spell slot, and we're like, okay, I better crit here, and the chances are pretty high. Rolling 21 d20s pretty much in total, and one of those should be a crit. And then, or you go for consistency and you add a d8 to all those attacks, so that's 7 d8 right there of additional burst damage. Or you hope for a crit, and then let's say it's a fiend, and Divine Smite's 2d8, so then it would be 4d8, and then you hope it's a fiend, so then it'd be 5d8, 10d8 on a crit Divine Smite, on a fiend, undead, aberration, whatever. So there's just so many ways you could take this build, and I think it's really good. It all stems from, of course, what you want to do stems from this level. That's why I said right here, character level 8, you really got to decide what you want to do with this build. And do I want to do single target, consistent single target? Do I want to do burst? Because right here, character level 8, you can just say, forget it. I'm gonna go fighter. I'm gonna go into my 3 levels of Echo Knight right now. You miss out on that D8, but then you have from starting from level 11, you'll have level 11. Character level 11, you'll have all this burst damage available once per long rest, and then you have action surge per short rest. So it's like you'll be a single target burst machine with high consistent damage too, and then you just go into those levels of paladin after, and then it's great. So yeah, your spell stop progression will just hinder a little bit, but that's why I think it's better to just go paladin first and then go echo if you're going to go that way. But nonetheless, this is probably one of the longest videos I've ever done, just because I'm passionate about this build. If you listen to the very end, thank you very much. Please like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. This whole the whole character sheet for the build and this Word document breaking down the whole build, it's all going to be in the Discord for free. All you gotta do is join, and then you when you're in, I have a channel for every single one of the builds I've done on this channel to date, and you'll see a link to the video here, of course, and then you'll see all the art that I've done, because it's not just this picture here. I've got like a couple more pictures of art that you might want to choose from and for the build, and there's the character sheets. I think I capped it at 8 or something, but I always do the character sheet at like whenever when the build is complete, and then the rest is just here in the Word document. But yeah, until next time.